Good morning and welcome back to Supernaturalist, where we dig into the creatures, legends, and eerie lore behind supernatural. Today we're heading straight into one of season 2's most memorable episodes, Folsom Prison Blues, which originally aired on April 26, 2007. In this episode, Sam and Dean willingly land themselves in prison to hunt a ghost that is killing inmates and guards inside Green River County Detention Center. And honestly, this episode is such a perfect mix of everything Supernatural does well. It gives us danger, tension, sarcasm, brother drama, FBI pressure, and of course, a deeply disturbing ghost story that's trapped behind bars in a prison. So for the creature at the center of this episode, the main supernatural force in Folsom Prison Blues is a vengeful spirit, and more specifically, the ghost of Nurse Dolores Glockner. She's a former prison nurse who murdered inmates in the infirmary before she herself was killed during a prison riot. And her spirit continues haunting the prison and lashing out violently long after death. What makes this haunting especially creepy is that the prison itself feels like a pressure cooker. It's already full of fear, violence, guilt, rage, and buried trauma. The kind of setting that's perfect for a ghost story, because prisons are places where pain lingers. They're built to contain bodies, but in horror, they often end up containing memory too. And that's exactly what happens here. And at first, Sam and Dean think they're dealing with one dead killer whose blood is tying him to the reopened cell block. But the truth is really darker. The real threat is Nurse Glockner, a figure who is connected to the prison infirmary, and it's a place that should be representing healing, but instead becomes a chamber of death. The twist makes the haunting more unsettling because it corrupts one of the very few places in a prison that's supposed to offer care. So why is she so frightening? Well, Nurse Glockner is kind of scary because she represents institutional cruelty. This isn't just a random spirit attacking at will. This is a ghost born from a system where the powerless were at the mercy of someone who wore the uniform of authority. In a way, she was part of the prison system as an authority figure. She was a nurse. She was someone people should have been able to trust, but instead she used that access to kill. And even in death, she keeps returning to that same pattern. And that's one of the things Supernatural does so well with its ghost. The monster is never just a jump scare. The ghost usually reflects something human that's gone rotten. Grief, revenge, obsession, abuse, or simple injustice. In this case, the horror is tied to authority misused behind locked doors. And a prison ghost is already terrifying because escape is nearly impossible. Add in the murderous nurse, who can appear in the infirmary in solitary confinement in vulnerable moments when nobody can run. And suddenly the walls themselves feel haunted. As for the lore behind the haunting, like many ghosts in Supernatural, Glockner is anchored to earthly remains and unfinished spiritual contaminations. Sam and Dean eventually learn they need to find where she's buried and burn the remains to stop her for good. That follows one of the show's classic haunting rituals, salt and burn. What's kind of fun in this episode is how improvised the hunt becomes. Sam and Dean are trapped inside a working prison, so they don't have their usual trunk of weapons and lore books. Instead, they have to build a ghost hunting strategy from whatever they can get their hands on. Salt packets for meals, cigarettes for barter, and lighter fluid obtained through prison. This makes the episode feel gritty and clever. The Winchesters are still hunters, but stripped down to instinct and improvisation. So why the prison setting matters so much? Well, this episode isn't just about a ghost in a prison. It's about entrapment on every level. Sam and Dean are physically trapped in jail. They're legally trapped by the FBI manhunt closing in around them. They're emotionally trapped by the growing pressure of their lives. And Deacon, he's the warden and an old friend of John Winchester. He's trapped by loyalty and duty. Even Mara Daniels, the public defender, She gets pulled into a moral trap when she realizes the brothers may not actually be what the system says they are. They're not monsters. They're not criminals. And that's why the ghost story works so well here. The haunting mirrors the deeper theme of the episode. Once a place is poisoned by violence, it's very hard for anyone inside to stay clean. And then there's Dean. Dean pretending prison is basically just a movie set is one of the funniest parts of the episode. He leans into prison cliches, acts like he has this all handled, and then the episode reminds us that no, this is still a deadly haunting. His humor keeps things entertaining, but it also makes the ghost hit land harder because the danger never stops being real. And now Henriksen raises the stakes. One reason Folsom Prison Blues stands out is that it's not just a monster of the week horror. It also pushes the larger storyline forward through FBI agent Victor Henriksen. And he keeps tightening the net around Sam and Dean after the bank heist fiasco. His arrival complicates everything and turns the episode into both a ghost hunt and a prison break. That combination gives the episode a different energy than a standard haunting. The brothers aren't just trying to survive a ghost. They're trying to survive the human world closing in on them too. So what makes Nurse Glockner memorable in supernatural lore? Nurse Glockner isn't one of the flashiest monsters in the series, but she is one of the eeriest because she fits the old school supernatural formula so well. It's a deeply haunted location, it's a cruel death history, it's an authority figure turned monster. There are limited resources, and it's a race against time before more people die. She also taps into the very old horror tradition, the killer caretaker. That figure shows up again and again in ghost stories because it violates a basic human expectation. The person who should help you becomes the one you fear most. And in a prison infirmary where people are already helpless, that idea becomes even more horrifying. And the emotional undercurrent underneath the prison action, a ghost and ghost lore. The episode also gives us one of these classic Sam Dean arguments that's really about much more than the immediate case. Dean wants to finish the hunt no matter what. Sam is focused on surviving the larger threat, breathing down their necks. Henriksen. Both of them are right, and both of them are exhausted. That tension gives the episode some bite. It's not just hunt ghost, burn bones, leave. It's about two brothers carrying too much and still trying to do the right thing inside impossible situations and potentially no way to escape, although they do. Now for fun facts and behind the scenes details. A great behind the scenes detail is that Riverview Hospital was used as a filming location for the prison setting because of its stark, inhumane architecture, while the prison block itself was built on a soundstage. That mix helped give the episode its harsh, claustrophobic feel. Another fun fact, the score for Folsom Prison Blues took on a retro bluesy approach, with composer Christopher Leonard's aiming for a sound inspired by film composer David Holmes. That musical choice fits the title and helps the episode feel gritty and stylish. And one of the most beloved trivia points of this episode is that Cliff Kosterman, who plays Tiny, later becomes well known to fans as Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles' longtime real-life bodyguard and close friend. And now for my final thoughts. Folsom Prison Blues is such a strong supernatural episode because it takes a classic ghost story and drops it into one of the worst possible places, a prison where no one is safe, nobody's free, and violence already lives in the walls. Nurse Glockner may not be the biggest monster in the series, but she is absolutely one of the more unsettling ghosts because she represents power abused in a place where the vulnerable really have nowhere to go. And that idea lingers long after the episode ends, when you think about it. Pairing that haunting with Henriksen's pursuit, Dean's swagger, Sam's urgency, and the brothers' desperate improvisation make this one feel tense, smart, and unforgettable. So if you love supernatural episodes where the lore is creepy, the setting is oppressive, and the stakes keep closing in on all sides, Folsom Prison Blues is a standout. I recommend it. And thank you once again for watching this episode of Supernaturalist. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with other supernatural fans. Thank you and have a great weekend.